Um, alright, this is gonna be my self-reflection video for CAS 100. In this video, I'm gonna go over the things that I liked about my speeches, things that I still need to improve upon in the future, and my overall strengths and weaknesses right now as a public speaker. I'll start off with things I thought I did pretty well in my speeches. Thinking back right now to the speeches we did in class, I think I did a pretty good job of communicating my main ideas with the rest of the class. I explained the material decently well and did a good job of covering all my necessary points, especially for the informative and the persuasive speech. Another thing that I liked about how I did my speeches was how I try to be as thorough as possible with the way I explain things. Um, you know, I thought I chose pretty good topics that were interesting for the class. I uh, I did a good job of providing good personal stories to support my points for each individual speech. And all right, so now I'm gonna move on to things I definitely still need to improve upon in the future. The first thing right off the bat that comes to my mind was how I still need to work on making my voice sound a little bit more natural. At times, I understand right now that my voice does sound a little monotone. Um, this was just partially due because I was just trying to rush through my presentation to meet the time requirements. In the future, I definitely need to slow down a little bit and focus more on making my voice sound a little bit more natural and in a way more relaxed. Another thing I noticed I still need to improve upon would be to work on making more eye contact with the rest of the audience. With this, I just need to become a little bit more comfortable in front of an audience. I'm not really used to giving formal presentations in front of audiences that much. I still feel like I get a little bit nervous sometimes, and that's why I end up not making enough eye contact with the audience, and why I end up relying too much on my note cards or the PowerPoint. Um, Another thing I noticed would be my tendency to make weird pauses in the middle of my speeches. Um, because I get a little confused or not exactly sure. So yeah, that's another thing I still need to improve upon to make my speeches sound a little bit smoother. Um, my introductions and conclusions could also be a little bit better. I noticed for the persuasive speech, especially, my conclusion was a little bit weak. I didn't do a good job of summing up my points. Overall, to sum things up, I'd say my strengths as a public speaker right now would be my tendency to be thorough, how I explain points relatively well. I don't use verbal fillers too often, and I do a good job of providing good personal stories to support my points. For the informative speech, especially, I provided good amounts of quotes and statistics to support my points. On the other hand, I'd say my weaknesses right now as a public speaker are my tendency to not make enough eye contact with the audience. I sometimes I rely too much on the flashcards or my PowerPoint too much. Um, my tendency to sound a little bit unnatural at times. My tendency to stumble around a little bit with my words and my introductions and conclusions.